And here we go. No matter how long you've been watching wrestling, it never gets any easier when you're invested in a story or a character, and then from nowhere, poof, they're gone. It leaves everybody asking what the hell happened, and you'll have those moments where you wonder how WWE gets away with it. Wouldn't happen in your favorite TV show or movie, so why here? Well, I can't tell you. Even if it's something you don't like, you would still want an explanation so you don't feel crazy. It's like you made it up in your head. Don't think this is a new issue either. It's been happening for years. I still had flippin' hair. If you don't know, I'm bald. I'm Simon from What Culture. This is 10 gimmicks WWE dropped with no explanation. Number 10, Reverend Devon. I don't think we actually know why Devon Dudley started doing this, other than the fact in 2002, WWE decided to split the Dudley Boys up, because that's just what we do. Wait until a tag team is really successful and then send them on their merry way as individuals. But yes, this is what happened during the first draft as some sort of surprise, and while Bubba stayed on Raw and pretended to be Dusty Rhodes, Devon was a reverend on SmackDown. This only lasted a few months, as by November the pair were back together again, and the strangest part was no one mentioned it. Not the guys in question, not the other wrestlers, not the commentary team. It wasn't so bad for Bubba as he hadn't gone through a 180 transformation, but for some reason Devon had given up his new job and just gone back to being obsessed with tables and headbutting people in the groin. These days we kinda pretend they were always just a team, which is weird because we know it's not true. Wrestling. Number 9, FRIAR Ferguson. Sticking with a similar theme, when FRIAR Ferguson arrived in the then WWF in 1993, it caused such a problem that the New York Catholic Church complained. That isn't good. For once, Vince McMahon decided this wasn't a fight worth having and backed down, but it did mean we need something new for performer Mike Shaw. Boy howdy, did Bruce Pritchard have the answer. Because by the summer he had become Bastion Booger, some disgusting man beast that would stuff his face in the ring. How he went from one extreme to the next I don't know, because nobody bothered to tell us. For some reason, one day he was a man of faith, and the next, a slob. Everyone just acted again like nothing untoward had happened, I think because management assumed nobody would make the link, even though these characters had the same face. Yeah, who would notice? Number 8, HEADSHRINKER FATU. The head shrinkers aren't all that great in hindsight. Given that they were told to act like island savages just because of their heritage, is wrestling stereotyping at its worst, but even then they were a good team in terms of what they were doing in the ring. This is why when in 1995 FATU just transformed into something else, well, it was a little confusing. All of a sudden, he could speak fluent English, ditch the Samoan attire, and started to preach about how we could all make a difference on this earth if we just helped each other. Also told kids not to take recreational drugs. This all came out of nowhere. Like a flippin' RKO. Not only did this change in a day, it reset that quickly too. After a few months or so of not seeing much from it, FATU went back to being a masked monster with no tongue. This is why new people don't watch. Number 7, Emelina. What in the blue hell was this? In October 2016, a bunch of videos started to air on Raw, letting you know that Emelina was on the way. It seemed interesting enough, even though it was just Emma with 4 letters added to her name, but after a few months of the same old, it ran out of steam. We just needed to see her and figure out what it was. More fool us. Why? Because when she did walk out as Emelina in February 2017, it was to tell us she wasn't going to do this and wanted to go back to being just Emma. What the flub? It sucked because we may as well given it a go, and then it got even worse when Emma turned up in April and was just Emma. So all that, and we were back where we started. What a waste of life. Everybody pretended like it hadn't happened, and once again fans felt like idiots for being invested. You'd have been better served smashing your head into a wall for close to a year. Number 6, the Blackbeard Paul Burchill. As soon as the Pirates of the Caribbean was a global success in 2003, you just knew WWE was gonna do something. It's a constant theme, and for some reason it took them 3 years to jump on it. When they did though, it was with all the subtlety of a brick into someone's face. Much like many entries on this list, when 2006 rolled around, Paul Burchill just walked out or swung out as a pirate. Why, you ask? Well, who cares? He just is, so you better respect it. Unfortunately, while this had made its way through the creative process, Vince McMahon hadn't seen this movie, and that's when everybody got scared. Thinking the idea was stupid, it was dropped after Mark Henry squashed Paul in July, simply because Vince wasn't finding it very funny. I mean, why was there a drunk Blackbeard fumbling around the place, he pondered? I don't know why. His company. Birchall would get one more run as basically himself, but the horrific twist that it seemed like he was in an incestual relationship with his sister, well, shockingly that was it, and he was let go soon after. Number 5, Russian Lana. I love it when WWE does this, and we have more later on. But when Rusev and Lana arrived on the scene, they were both Russian. Easy way to get booed in America, I suppose. While Ruru would be shifted over to Bulgaria before long, which was legit, it left a problem with the ravishing Russian, who in reality was CJ Perry from the foreign shores of California. She had the accent and everything, but when this had run its course, WWE just told Lana to stop using it, so she did. For no reason, she was American all of a sudden, and while there was some nonsense that it was due to how long she'd been in the USA, that was as watertight as a boat with a hole in it. WWE was just hoping that people would get over it after a while. To be fair, they weren't wrong. After a few weeks of face palming, it was just accepted simply because it's something we're all used to. We are idiots. There was a time in 2015 too when the accent disappeared when she was aligned with Dolph Ziggler for 4 seconds, and if you don't know, it returned when she united with Rusev. I've said it before, I'll say it again, wrestling is crazy. Number 4, Stalker DDP. Why did Diamond Dallas Page stalk The Undertaker and his wife when he first debuted in WWE? Well, because they needed something, and why not this? That's about as deep as it went. You'd assume it was because Vince McMahon already had the idea and just needed to assign someone to the role. But it made no sense that it was DDP, a character that had years of tenure in WCW. The fans already knew his deal. This didn't fit. What's worse is that in 2001, when he got injured and had to go away, on his return, he was the complete opposite. Giving up his illegal ways to be a motivational speaker, it was another situation where you were just meant to forget about his precious actions, even though they had been huge at one time. Not anymore though, so would you please ignore it? Nobody thought we should tie up these loose ends, so DDP went from stalking to smiling his teeth and feuding with Christian over the European title. And ultimately that wasn't a bad thing, it was a good thing, but still, this trend is nuts. Number 3, Pancake Patterson. Go and ask your most hardcore fan about Pancake Patterson. If they can remember, give them a prize. I'm sure there is an exception to this rule, but we have all forgotten that on a random episode of Raw in March 2013, Titus O'Neil arrived as whoever the hell this was. I'm not making this up either. As WWE teased a match between Darren Young and John Cena, Titus donned a wig and started making bad jokes as he pretended to be this guy. Don't ask me for anything else either, I've no idea. It just disappeared after a week too, and nobody would ever explain it to us, or why it began, or what it was meant to be. It was like O'Neil had run out to the ring dressed as this before management could stop him. Sometimes I don't know why we watch. Number 2, Jamaican Kofi Kingston. One of the best examples of these and a situation WWE treated with so much lethargy it still makes me laugh today. Kofi Kingston arrived originally in WWE as Mr. Jamaica. His music, his gear, the way he talked. Don't worry, he was born in Ghana. World Wrestling Entertainment fancied a character like this and just made it happen regardless of anything else. Then in 2009 they were done with it, so needed a way to cut it out. And what did they choose? Well, during an in-ring segment with Triple H, Shawn Michaels and others, Kofi just lost his accent. The only person who seemed to care was Hunter Hearst Helmsley, who, to his credit, delivered a killer line about what the hell happened, but that was zoomed past in seconds and we were done. Kofi just now spoke differently. Ever since this, there's been hints that Kingston was simply playing a character, but that just makes it even odder. It's a bit weird to decide to help yourself win matches, you'll pretend to be someone you're not. Luckily, Kofi is so good at what he does, he handled it masterfully, but still. Number 1, Bare Knuckles Wade Barrett. In 2012, Wade Barrett was kind of showing us Raw Underground 8 years before that even existed. Because when some vignettes started airing for him, he was some bare knuckle fighter ruining dudes with his fists. They were pretty aggressive too, which made them stand out, and a lot of people were excited about it. Maybe he was going to be brought in and just wreck people. Sounded good. Then one day, they ended. Great. While on screen it was never explained, we did actually find out why behind the scenes, and it was because the Sci-Fi Network was so worried about a backlash, they told WWE to drop him like RoboCop. So they did. To try and balance this out, the announcers did discuss that Barrett had a history in punching people without any gloves, but it wasn't the same. I suppose you do have to listen to the individuals who are airing your program, but still, this one was a real shame. Know of any other gimmicks that WWE dropped with no explanation? And of course you do, because there's loads. Make sure you let us know in the comments below, and then don't forget to like the video, share the video, and subscribe to What Culture Wrestling. Then head over to WhatCulture.com and read yourself some articles. Follow What Culture on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE, and watch more videos here on What Culture Wrestling. My name is Siren from What Culture. I appreciate your time, and I will talk to you again soon.